You are listening to My Brain is a Wonderland, the podcast for neurodivergent women and the people who love them. You're here with your host, Emily, and today we are going to be talking about overwhelm. I think it's something that everyone suffers from at some point in their life, right? You can get overwhelmed from a lot of different things, and it's very personal, I think, to a lot of people about what you get overwhelmed by. But I think people who are neurodivergent get overwhelmed easier, faster, and more intensely. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how I used to get overwhelmed a lot in the past, what I've done to mitigate that, and a recent episode of overwhelm that almost kind of sent me off the edge. Like a lot of neurodivergent people, I used to put in about 250 million gajillion % of my effort, energy, time, and space into my work. It was something that I took almost all of my pride from. You know, I didn't really get my worth from many other places. It was mostly from my job. So I would take on a lot of different projects at work so that I was always busy at work. I mean, like balls to the wall busy. No time to breathe, no time sometimes to even take lunch. I would have to take work home oftentimes to get stuff completed. And it's something I think that's really common with neurodivergent people, especially people with ADHD, because we find it difficult to sit with our feelings, with our energy, and just relax and be. And so in the past, I like to fill my time with as many activities that would keep my brain busy as possible. And that would include taking on more clients, taking on more projects like graphic design, writing a press release, anything I could do to fill my time and to take as much energy out of me as I could, because I had so much energy and still do, that I needed somewhere to put it. I used to say to my husband, you know, before I met you, I couldn't ever relax, and I've always found it difficult to relax, and he's helped me with that. But to just sit, and even if I would sit, I'd have to be churning through a TV show, right? I'd have to have something either occupying my mind or occupying my body, or both. Even now, if I'm working out, I have to be watching something. So if I'm on the elliptical, on a treadmill, I have to have my cell phone on, watching a TV show or something that engages me. And if I'm not doing something like that, I have to do an exercise video where I'm watching someone do the exercise, talk, be funny, blah, blah, blah. I have to have my mind and my body completely occupied for my energy to drain. And that was satisfying in a couple of ways, because it did take my energy away. It allowed me to sleep a little bit better at night, but honestly, I was just going and going and going until I was exhausted. And it satisfied my curiosity, my need for constant information and to be doing things. That was satisfying for my brain and body. The problems came around when I had no energy left for anything else, that I would get so overwhelmed from all of this work that, say if I had a Monday through Friday job, which is very rare until recently, I'd usually had quite a intense job with a lot of hours or a flexible schedule, which means working on the weekend. But if I had a Monday through Friday job, I would not want to go out to dinner at night. I would not want to do anything on the weekends. I found it very difficult to get up and go and do anything really that wasn't related to that work or to do anything at all. I didn't really have time for family or energy for family, for my relationship with my husband, just for myself. I didn't have any hobbies. In my 20s, my work was my life, and I didn't really have any hobbies outside of work. I didn't go dancing. I didn't do my art. I didn't read a lot. And these are all passion things from my past that I now do. And I couldn't really do it in my 20s. I had nothing left for it and couldn't have this space to live a life, really, to just live my life. And I would get into these cycles where I would go, 200%, 300%, 500%, go, take on more work, feeling like a superwoman, right? We've all been there, where you just feel like you have infinite amounts of energy, infinite amounts of curiosity, infinite amounts of ideas, and your intelligence in your brain is just going 100 miles a minute. And I would churn, knock this stuff out. It'd be great. And then I'd quickly plummet. I'd quickly stop being attentive, good at my job, creative, curious, and would just start to completely disengage. Would get so overwhelmed that I would just have to say, I'm done for a week. I'm not coming in. And I wouldn't say that. I would usually say I was sick, which is true. It was a mental health sickness. But I would say I'm sick, and I just couldn't be around anyone. I couldn't be around people. I'd have to sleep a lot. And I think a lot of that was to do with my autism as well, is that my ADHD and my autism often complement, but often also fight each other. That my ADHD wants a lot of exposure, a lot of energy burn, a lot of things. We're all maximalists in this ADHD world. You want this all the time. And my autism was saying, okay, this is too much. Like, stop. And I would get to that point where they would intersect, and I would just literally implode in my life. And then I would pull way back, reset, and then I would do it all over again. I would just repeat these cycles of climbing, doing, get completely overwhelmed, crash, and then start again. And I would hate myself for it. I would get down on myself so hard that everyone else could do this. Everyone else could be doing 150 million% all the time and wouldn't be like this. You look at other people and you think, how are they doing it? They seem to have it all together. My sister-in-law is a great example. She's a fabulous woman, and she has 4 children, is in a relationship, so has to nurture that. She lives in the same city as my in-laws, her parents, who are getting older. She has to nurture that. She has a full-time in-person job and has had that for her entire adult life. And I look at her sometimes and I just say, I don't know how you do this. And there are times where she's struggling, but we don't see that. We don't always see that. They don't always talk about that. So it's important not to compare your journey to anyone else, because I guarantee that everyone has hit rock bottom. Everyone has gotten overwhelmed and had to withdraw. I think maybe it just happens more frequently with neurodivergent people and may come up more quickly and may appear kind of unexpectedly because we struggle to stay in touch with our emotions and the reality of kind of what we're going through and dealing with. Sometimes I just have blinkers on, like a horse, looking straight ahead, that this is what I'm doing, while everything falls away. My health falls away, my relationship with my husband's not doing great, my sleep is terrible, I'm not eating well, I'm not indulging in anything I enjoy, going to the movies, doing my art, and you just all of a sudden turn around and go, wait, what, how did this happen? And there was a point where I basically said to myself and my husband and my entire life, the universe, I need to make a purposeful and mindful decision, a choice, to completely move away from the life I am living and have created. That I cannot keep doing this churn of excessive activity and commitment, where everything else falls by the wayside. And the only way I can do that is by making a concerted effort and choice not to do it. And that was really difficult to realize that was going to be difficult to do anyway, because I was so used to doing it the other way. But I also had to kind of step back and look at my job and jobs I had taken in the past and think, is this something I want to do? Is this something I should be doing? And really reassess my life. And I actually ended up kind of changing careers in the end. I have been in the adult education sphere my entire adult career, but I went from working in nonprofits and small businesses and actually being an instructor, which is, any teachers out there, oof, bless you, because we know how that is and how much you have to give to your students all the time. And how if you work in a nonprofit and in a small business, you're often doing everything, right? And I had to make a conscious decision to say, maybe this isn't what I want to do anymore. I'm out of my 20s. I want to be more secure, financially stable, have a career that is moving somewhere where I don't have to give my entire soul and life to it into my 40s and 50s, And I'm not sure if I've spoken about this before. I think I have mentioned it in a previous episode, but I'm going to talk about the straw that broke the camel's back, basically. The job I was doing before the job I'm doing now, and where I just was like, I'm done. I need to step back and reassess everything. So I had been working at a nonprofit museum. This is 2 jobs ago. And this is, I think I have spoken about this in the past, this is the job where I came out and told them that I'd been diagnosed with ADHD and autism. My manager had children with ADHD and autism, and I was told that I would not be promoted because of my diagnoses. So I quickly decided to get the hell out of there. I had lost faith in the entire system, and I was just done with that. So I started at a new job at another nonprofit, and I absolutely loved it. I loved the people, I loved the mission, and everything about it except what I've been talking about. I was working sometimes 6 days a week. I had to take work home sometimes. In the summer, I ran a summer school, so I was getting up at 6 a.m. to be in the school to greet the kids, and I said I'm into adult education. I'm really not great with kids, and it was really difficult to deal with. And when I started the position, they were kind of vague. And I'd taken this job because I was so done with my other job, and I'd taken it at $12 an hour. Yeah, I let that pause sit so you could think about that. $12 an hour, I think I was 34, 35 when I took that job. And I made it clear that this could not be a permanent situation. Oh, it just started raining. If you can hear that on the podcast, there's some Florida calming rain for you. But I made it clear that I couldn't sit with that wage for a long period of time, that this is really underpaid for the position I was doing. And they were kind of vague, but kind of, sort of, and maybe I kind of sort of wanted to believe it, that this was going to be a COVID wage. That we'd just come out of COVID, and so it was a non-profit, they had to reduce wages, and that it would go up in the future. I ended up being at this job for 8 months, and I really did think I was going to grow into a managerial powerhouse position in this actually very prestigious arts nonprofit where I live. And it's nationally renowned for many different reasons. And I was really excited about that, and I have a lot of experience and a lot of talent, and they knew that, and my manager knew, that we've got to try to keep her. And I was getting close with my manager. We bonded on a lot of different things. I think she's neurodivergent, and her father also died when she was a young child. So we bonded really easily and spoke pretty candidly to each other about a lot of things, but I didn't know how much she was making. And this is the director of a program at a nonprofit across 4 physical locations in a city. So think of, in your mind, you're a director of an education program across 4 physical locations across a city. How much do you think they should make? Okay, just think about that. How much in your head do you think they should make? And one day we were at lunch and just chatting, and I forget what we were chatting about, but probably we had some gripe that we were, talking about together and just kind of getting into it. And she said, I forget how it came out, but she said, I make $35K a year salary. $35K. Working 6 days a week, minimum. Working really hard, having a lot of stuff to do. I mean, when you work in a nonprofit, it's ridiculous the stuff you have to do. And I immediately mentally bailed. As soon as she said $35K, I just went, I'm out. I'm so done. I'm so done with pushing myself and giving all of myself to these jobs. And all I get is $12 an hour, maybe $35K. What a privilege. And this is what I'm dealing with. I was like, I'm done. It was very serendipitous. A job came up for the same work that I have been doing my entire adult career, but at a corporation. And it's funny because if you told me in my 20s, you're going to work for a corporation in your 30s, or if they'd said in my 20s, do you want to do this? You're going to make more money. I would have said, no, it's not about the money. But it's not just about the money from this job that I now have. I have a cubicle that is my own, and it's a very large cubicle. I have great benefits, a work-life balance. I work from home half the week as well. There's flexibility. It's a really amazing position and company to work for. And it's funny, like I say, if you'd ever said, people say in their 20s, if you watch Friends, if you watch a lot of shows about people in their 20s, you just can't wait to get out of your cubicle, right? That you're kind of dying in your cubicle. It's so boring. What am I even doing here? My life is worthless. I love my cubicle. It's private. It's quiet. I have my own space. I can get my work done with my headphones on. I have a stand-up desk so I can get energy out from my ADHD. It's actually freaking perfect for me. And what happened after I got this job, and I've had it for about 2 years now, is that I completely found time, space, and energy for my own life. Instead of giving 230 million% to work, I give, let's say, 80 to 100%. That's just being honest. I think everyone can say that. And on some days when your kid is sick, your dog's died, you got a flat on the way to work, maybe we're given 60% that day. But the work gets done. Everyone thinks you're a great employee because you are. You have great reviews and you have space for yourself. And so pulling back from all of that gave me this clarity where I knew now that I could give to my own life. So one of my greatest passions is cooking. And it would be a stress at night to cook dinner, but it was also a stress to get food out because I wasn't making a lot of money. Now I make a lot of money, and I have the work-life balance to cook when I want to, which is a lot, or go out to my favorite restaurants if I want to. I have time and creative energy and curiosity for my art practice. My creative energy hasn't been completely wrung out in my job throughout the day. I didn't spend all of it in this job that gave me nothing. And there are days where you give it all, and that's fine. But for the most part, I have the time to rest, relax, recharge, do what I need to do. Look after my dogs. This hybrid work environment has been a godsend to my dogs. They are both shelter dogs. We didn't get them as puppies. They had a lot to work through when we got them. They're very anxious dogs if you leave the house. And being home more during the day has been amazing for them. And it's been amazing for me. I love being around my dogs. They're so calming, right? And I think that's true for a lot of neurodivergent people. The animals are calming. So I found so much grace and freedom of spirit and joy and new things to do in life and be passionate about because I decided to create a more minimalist work environment for myself and made that choice to pull away from things I was really and still are really passionate about. I'm passionate about the arts. I'm passionate about arts education. I still work in education, but I don't work in arts education. But it was draining the goddamn life out of me. And now I have time to go to my favorite art museums. Like I said, to work on my own arts practice, to read research papers, to read books that I love. Nonfiction books are my favorite books to read, and I have all this time to read now. But there is a cloud over this that came about a few months ago. It can't all be roses and puppies, can it? And what happened is I was getting a little bored at work. There wasn't a lot of stuff to do going into the summer. A lot of jobs slow down in the summer. And I was just feeling a little bit bored and I wanted to do more. So I started to look for more work at work. I would ask my manager, and you're so kind of siloed in a corporation, unlike a nonprofit and small business, that you don't have your fingers in all the pies. It's more like you do this and that's all you do, and if you can help, I'll let you know, and da-da-da-da. There's just not much else I can do. And so I was looking for more work to do, and I started getting involved in extracurriculars at the corporation, which are things like DE&I, diversity, equity, inclusion, doing writing articles for the intranet of the corporation, things like that. So I was getting more work, and I was slowly starting to slip, like I did in the past, into doing too much stuff, right? I was also at the same time, so I picked up this extra work, I was also at the same time trying to get promoted. So I was interviewing with other departments, and they wanted to see other work that I had to work on. You know, when you get interviewed and they say, hey, can you write something to like prove that you're good at this, or just to put on the resume thing? So I was working on that as well. That coincided, so remember this was the summer, kind of start of the summer. That coincided with the beginning of my summer semester of grad school. I don't think I've spoken about this much, but I mention it every once in a while. I'm getting my master's in online grad school right now, so I'm in a full-time grad program. And if you don't know, summer semesters are very intense. They are 6 to 8 weeks long usually, and a normal semester in spring and fall is like 12 to 16 weeks, but they're teaching the same class just in the summer. So they basically take 12 to 16 weeks of material and slap it into 6 to 8 weeks of absolute hell, to be honest. And so this is what happened. This is how it all kind of converged and came down on me all in one mere week. Okay? I picked up that extra work. I was getting interviewed to get promoted. And then I also offered to travel for work. I have to travel, mandatory. I'm supposed to travel 2 to 3 times a year. But I get a lot of guilt around not traveling for work because I want to help my coworkers, and I also actually love going on work trips. They're a lot of work, but I love the people I'm with, and we go out and get drinks and have dinner in great cities and blah, blah, blah. So I said, sure, I'll travel, and it's just a weekend usually, a Friday through Monday or a Saturday through Monday. But here's what happened. So, got the extra work, interviewing for a new position. I traveled out of the city. Usually it's out of state, but actually it was just to another city in this state, thank God. And I traveled Friday through Monday. And it's always intense, fun but intense. So Friday through Monday, I'm out of town. I already have a bunch of work to do. Tuesday, it's my birthday. That's a whole bunch of stressors, excitement, disappointments, fun, all the things that come along with having a birthday as a person in your 30s. Wednesday, so that was Tuesday, birthday. Wednesday, summer semester starts in school. And I really realize, oh, crapoly, I have a lot of work to do this semester. Thursday, me and my husband, we drive 2.5 hours to his hometown to stay with his sister, who has 4 children. We stay overnight, and the following day, we look after the children. At around 4 p.m., we drive back 2.5 hours. So that's Thursday, Friday. Saturday, my husband's best friend from high school, and, middle school, elementary school from his hometown, comes to visit, stays with us Saturday through Monday. I swear to God, by Monday, I was a basket case. I mean, honestly, by the time we drove up to his sister's house to look after her 4 children, I was a basket case, and I didn't know how I was going to survive the week. And I planned all that. I knew it was my birthday. I knew classes were starting. I volunteered to work because I feel guilty and I want to have these experiences and I'm curious and I was falling into that trap again of doing too much and this FOMO thing. I wanted to help out my sister-in-law because this is summer break, so they're working and they have 4 kids and they're not in summer camp all the time. So I wanted to help her out, and then my husband's best friend is kind of going through it, so we wanted to help him out. So it was a lot of wanting to help and forgetting what I needed, right? In that week, I volunteered to look after the kids before I volunteered to go to work that weekend prior. To travel. I shouldn't have done that. Once I knew I was looking after the kids, that my semester was going to start, I had my birthday, I should have said no. I wouldn't say no to my husband for having his best friend stay. I know him intimately in a friendship, platonic way. We've known each other for over a decade. I'm happy to have him. But I would have preferred it not to happen that weekend. And I did really lose my marbles. And it sent me down a kind of spiral for the rest of my school semester that lasted around 6 weeks and just finished 2 days ago. And really what I've learned from all this is that I think when I was getting bored at my job, there was a part of me that maybe thought I was being a bit lazy and could and should do more. I was wrong. The last 2 years have been utter bliss, and I really need to focus on what I need and focus on the minimalist life that I am trying to create at work and in general so that I have space. For example, I worked from home today. I was able to go out for lunch with my husband. Oftentimes, if I'm at work and my husband's like, do you want to get lunch? It's like, I'm at work. I can't, when? What time? How? Now after, I have a meeting. It gives me so much freedom to step back. And I'm great at my job. Co-workers love me. My boss thinks I'm doing great. And I know I am doing great at my job. And I'm doing very well. And I hope I will get promoted. And I think I will get promoted. But I have to be careful about those times where I take on too much. And I knew, like I said prior, I knew I was taking on too much. I knew it. And as it was getting closer, actually at the beginning I didn't. I was going, sure, this sounds great. Sure. I'll put it on the calendar. As long as it's on the calendar, we're good. But as I got closer to that week, where it started with traveling and ended with my husband's best friend staying over at our house, my anxiety went through the roof. And I should have known then that I should have pulled out of something. Probably the work thing. I should have never volunteered to do that. And I will say, it's not, I'm super lucky to be in the position that I am. I got my position because the woman who had it prior was retiring. It's not easy to switch careers, switch industries, and I'm not saying that, la-di-da, it was so easy and just, it happened. But if you really want to make the choice to pull back and create a life that works for you, consider something else. Consider a radical change. I'm telling you, if I would never even, I've been in this job for 2 years. 3 years ago, if you said to me, you're going to be working for a corporation, sitting in a cubicle, loving life, I would have said, you're crazy. You are crazy. I would never do that. Sounds like hell, a cubicle where you go to die, blah, 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 blah. I'm telling you, it's been the best thing for my mental health ever. And I'm not saying you need to do that, but if something isn't working, if you're taking on too much, you're run ragged, you're always on the treadmill of life, you need to get off that treadmill, man. You need to reassess what you need. What do you need to be happy? Yes, it satisfies, that treadmill will satisfy certain aspects of your life. Like I said, the energy, some of the curiosity. But you could get that curiosity elsewhere. What if you were going to your favorite book club, your favorite museum, watching your favorite shows, playing your favorite D&D games? What if you could engage with your life instead of only engaging with the rat race of work and getting super overwhelmed, right? And anyone out there with kids, look, I don't have kids, and I know that has a whole other layer to the entire thing that I'm talking about, but you don't have to necessarily withdraw from your kids, but maybe you need a day away. Maybe you need some time to yourself. Maybe if you can't take time away from your kids, then you need time away from work, and you need a job that allows for that work-life balance. So sit down with yourself and really think about that. And that can be journaling, meditating, talking with someone you love. Just really dig deep and think about it. Because I know I never did that. I'm saying that my boss said, I make $35K. And I was like, mental bail, done, and I'm out. I should have probably looked at this before, right? And thought, you're not doing well, you're stressed out, you're stressed about money, you're stressed about how much work you have to do, you're stressed about how you have no time to give to your husband, stressed about how you have no time to give to yourself, your dogs never see you, you never see yourself, like you just never engage with yourself, do the things that you love. And so really take the time. It's important. It could really change your life for the better. And I think neurodivergent people need to step back and work on doing that, because we really struggle to identify our emotions in the moment, and it takes a lot of work to do that. So sometimes you don't even know, am I enjoying this? Do I hate this? I don't know. I'm just working through the energy right now. I have no idea. So that's my recommendation. That's my experience. And if that sounds like something that you feel like could work for you, go for it. I hope it does. I hope this has been meaningful to you, and I hope this has resonated with you. So with that, I'm going to end this episode. And I just wanted to say I've been switching around my handles on social media a little bit. I'd been saying it was My Brain is a Wonderland pod, but I realized on YouTube it's actually My Brain is a Wonderland. So if you want to reach me, just look in the show notes. Whatever the current thing is, that's what it is. But you can mostly find me if you just type in My Brain is a Wonderland on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Gmail. You'll find me. And I hope to see you next time on My Brain is a Wonderland Season 2. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye-bye.